Hi there, Grapeshot here with another game of Mechabellum. Today we're going to be playing in casual mode, and we're going to try and run Mass Void Eye. The reason I'm running this is a couple of reasons. One, it's a strategy I haven't played in a long time. Two, a viewer requested to see this strategy in action. And three, it's a really popular strategy among lower MMR brackets in this game. And so both knowing how to play it and play against it can be very important. This strategy was actually like the strongest strategy in the game just 2 patches ago, maybe 3 patches ago, but Void Eyes were nerfed pretty substantially since then. But the tech's aerial mode and suppression shot and even charge shot are just really efficient, and these are just generically stat efficient units. And the ability to threaten Void Eye as something that our opponent is going to have trouble dealing with either way, whether or not we click aerial mode or not, kind of changes what units counter it, making it pretty hard to react to it. Yeah, so our opponent is probably trying to test out this field entrenchment pack. So what we want to do is prevent him from doing this by pulling our board back a little bit. And we want to play like even further back than we already were. Say, Rhino Assault, Wasp Swarm. The Wasp Swarm is like okay. I think I will take this. Doesn't make a big difference. I guess it's a little better to put it on this side. And we don't have any chaff clear yet. I think that we want to just get our suppression shot going right away, and then we can see what the game gives us for chaff clear. I want to place these a little further back. 1, to pull my opponent so that he can't use field entrenchment, and 2, to cover my flanks against that Rhino drop that was offered. Okay, so perhaps we have a Fang carry going on here with Grenade Launcher. If that's the case, we'll end up clicking aerial mode pretty early on, the second he clicks Grenade Launcher. We are definitely going to need a dedicated anti-chaff unit. It might even be Vulcan, because we'll be going into it pretty late. But Void Eyes are really strong against Sabretooth, and just mid-size units in general. We want to get as much XP into these Void Eyes as early as possible. So he went Assault Fang, so probably going to be going some sort of carry Fang situation. Okay, so we're given Tarantula, which is not so great into Sabretooth, but I think we'll actually take it anyways. Our opponent doesn't run range on his Sabretooths, so we can do a pretty good job of pushing these Sabretooths off of the Fangs. It's either that, or we could sell the Scorpion, but this gives us a lot of deployments, so I think I am going to take it. So We want to put these behind our Void Eyes. We want to pull another Void Eye to use our intensive training on this turn. The reason being that gives us a better reward on the XP than like leveling up a unit that's already halfway done with its XP bar. So a Void Eye here. Tarantula. And another crawler. Kind of unfortunate that the anti-chaff unit the game gave us was a tarantula. We obviously would have much preferred a different unit. Alright, he takes this wasp. We'll have to answer that. And he goes more fangs and more saber-tooths. Going into secondary armament. That is going to be pretty good against us. Obviously, we need to get range on our tarantulas pretty soon. I think we can probably just click aerial mode next turn. Otherwise, we're going to lose a lot of tempo. And I would expect our opponent is going to click grenade launcher here quite often. Smart Arclight is interesting. Assault Vulcan. I definitely would have taken this card if I hadn't gone Tarantula last turn. And then let's get more chaff down. Our opponent is pretty weak to crawlers right now. And then I'm just going to ignore this wasp because my answer is the suppression, or not the suppression shot, the aerial mode on the Void Eyes. Self-fang. And then let's go not defense enhancement, damage enhancement, so that we can shred these saber-tooths a little faster. Yeah, he's going even more saber-tooths. So these Void Eyes are going to be a serious problem for our opponent. Perhaps he uses Fang to try and beat them. We're going to definitely be going into our Tarantulas next turn. We want to get range going, and then probably high explosive is going to be good against this mass Fang. Oh, perfect. Yeah, he clicks grenade launcher this turn, so these Void Eyes are just farming XP. Yeah, so their range is shorter, but their speed is faster, so they become actually more frontline when you click this tech. He put levels on a crawler. Interesting. Yes, this game is kind of covering the scenario where an opponent doesn't really have any dedicated anti-air at the time that you go for this tech. And he is winning this turn. Obviously, I don't have any anti-chaff carry yet, which is never going to win. Well, maybe it sometimes win. He does have to kill everything with this unit. So he goes marksman this turn. We're just going to sell because we need to go. Or we could actually keep this and sell our Tarantula instead. That actually sounds quite a bit better. I'm going to do it. Let's go. Fire Badger. Fire Badger. Want to level one of these. Let's check their XP bars. We want to level one that... I guess we'll level on this side. And then we should continue to deploy crawlers. Looks pretty good. He goes anti-air wasp. Okay, that's definitely something we need to answer. We can electromagnetic armor it. Let's see. So these wasps deal 200 damage with a 90% increase. They do like 400 damage. So if we do click electromagnetic armor, it does remove it, but that's a really expensive tech. So I'm not quite sure if that's the solution we want yet. The other thing I'm seeing is just actually going into Wraith is looking pretty reasonable. And he did take the marksman. This is pretty close. We might actually win with this single thing. Go! Go! No! Alright. Heavy armor. It's like not that trivial to put heavy armor here. HP. No. Okay, I think we're just skipping this. Take our levels. We could answer with Wasp. Just go Wasp into Wasp. It's not that terrible. Also going just Mustang is pretty reasonable. I think going Mustang is probably just the most reasonable option. Mustang is also very strong into Sabretooth, so... Alright. Yeah, we can go Mustang down here. Mustang down here. And then we want a central Mustang to deal with his higher level. He continues to go into Wasp, so going into Mustang's feeling pretty strong. And because we're Void Eye carry, we're not vulnerable at all to like armored units. So if he places like an armored unit in the front, we'll be totally fine. We'll definitely go anti-air Mustang. The vast majority of our net worth in our opponent is now in his Wasp. So definitely hard countering those is going to be a big deal. I think we will go electromagnetic armor on our Void Eye carry at some point, but that's not going to be necessary yet. Nuke? Oh god. Nuke is pretty terrifying. I guess we have enough life that it's probably fine. We want to stay as spread out as possible this turn. Our opponent does take the nuke. And he's using Fortress, but he's already Sabretooth, and this play doesn't make too much sense. Fortress and Sabretooth have the exact same weaknesses, so you generally don't want them to be in a comp together. I mean, if he just nukes right here, it's pretty messed up, but we're not going to be dead, so it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Perks of being pretty healthy late in the game. Oh, interesting. He took efficient giant manufacturing. That's like a huge mistake. He resupplied so that he could... Oh, he must have taken this last turn. and then just knock on giants. That's pretty bad, yeah. You don't want to do that. Yeah, well, I think we'll actually be totally fine. Like, obviously, this round, we're going to take 1,000,000 damage, but in the grand scheme of things, I think that these two hard picks are going to put us really far into the lead. It's almost looking like we might win this turn. We probably do want to go into Steel Ball for these fortresses, or we can even just do Melting Point for the shield. If the game gives us something, also that would be great. It does look like we won. That's pretty crazy. Our opponent resupplied and hit like a max value nuke against us. So that's pretty bad news for them. Vulcan's Descent. It's not gonna do much for us. Electro Impact. He's probably gonna put another fortress here, so we could use this just to damage 2 shields. That's probably worth it. And then let's put down shields ourselves. He'll be able to hit an Electro no matter what, but that's fine. Oh, what am I doing? I can't oil. There's gonna be a fortress shield. I don't really have enough gold to go Melting Point, so we can just do Elite Steel Balls to pop these shields. I don't like that this doesn't have a crawler in front of it. I guess it has to be all the way back here. Otherwise, it's going to get locked and take too much damage and dodge. Alright, that should be sufficient. Oh, we guessed wrong on this Electro, but that's fine. The Steel Balls pop the shields for us, and after that it should just be carnage. Oh. Or not. Okay. Well, rhinos. Yeah, maybe we could land a rhino flank back here. I don't think that's necessary. Let's finish our Steel Balls. We could also go Charge Shot on our Void Eyes. The reason I don't like doing that as my way of breaking the shield is our opponent just has so much net worth invested into countering our Void Eyes that I think we should just pretty much leave them as is, as just this problem they had to deal with. Yeah, let's pick up range and then go Steel Ball plus 2 crawlers. Pick up our Subterranean Blitz tech, and we want to get a couple more crawlers down to protect our Steel Ball advance. Pick up this. Rocket Punch is sick. Alright, this guy's doing some fun stuff. Yeah, our steel balls are getting diabolically strong locks, though. Yeah. Okay. Some quick talk about doing this Void Eye strategy. This is a really, really popular strategy, especially in 4-player Brawl. And there's a couple reasons why it's not as good as people think it is, right? The first is this idea that taking aerial mode threatens an opponent into taking like anti-air preemptively isn't really true for a couple reasons. One, units that counter it, like Wasps, Mustangs, Marksmen, are already good, and you can already add them to your comp and should add them to your comp, regardless of if your opponent goes Void Eye, right? The second reason is it's not that scary to just allow your opponent to win the turn they click aerial mode and then react after. And the reason being that Void Eyes do not do very much player damage, right? So Void Eye games tend to go really long. And this is another big point about Void Eyes. I've actually found that higher MMR players like to go Void Eye a lot when facing lower MMR opponents. And the reason for this is that because these units are really good at trading with pretty much everything and tend to be pretty strong at winning rounds but not at killing your opponent, it drags the game longer when you play Void Eye. And dragging the game longer tends to favor a more skilled player because you have more opportunities to outplay the opponent, right? The second thing about the Void Eyes is what makes them seem really powerful is that they can pretty much tech option to beat any matchup. But that concept is pretty much a bait because, like, if you're triple teching any unit, it's just so expensive that if you're playing a high tempo game, you're usually losing the turn you take a third tech. Like if I take electromagnetic armor to counter these double teched wasps, I'm spending half of my gold that turn on that play, and my opponent could be doing something with a completely new unit that's much stronger. And yeah, I just think that in playing high level, high tempo gameplay, triple teching units is pretty much not gonna come up. Or when it does, it's gonna be like due to an opponent's overcommit. Um, yeah, I also just think that Void Eyes are not very strong right now. I think Void Eye and Sledgehammer are currently filling a similar role, which are units that are not really good enough to go as a carry, but are really good as just like board balancers in the first 3 turns, right? Units that can deal with any sort of threat your opponent might play, that you're usually going to get out of by the end of the game. What else about them? I generally think that, like, Void Eyes are just worse than Marksmen. In most scenarios where I would consider buying a Void Eye on turn 1, I'm going to buy Marksman instead. That is obviously going to be patch dependent, though. In terms of counters, I actually think that Wasps are a really bad counter to Void Eye. And the reason is kind of confusing. Well, it's like okay, but the problem with going Wasps is the units that Wasps like to partner with, like your armored steel balls, armored Rhino, like Wraith, those sorts of units are all really bad against Void Eye. So you end up in these awkward scenarios where now I just put my net worth into Mustangs for the rest of the game, and your counter doesn't actually work. And you can't really do a full Wasp comp. That being said, it's probably still alright. Wasps are really powerful. So yeah, thanks for watching.